Let me ask you, because you wrote recently that Mohammed bin Salman is acting like Vladimir Putin, and it's not a compliment as far as I understand, because some are saying that's actually not an anti-graft operation. This is a power play, that he's essentially pushing rivals aside. Among those who were arrested, there was Prince Miteb bin Abdullah, who was the head of the National Guard. So some are saying, actually, it's not about corruption. It's about seizing power and becoming the de facto king of Saudi Arabia.
Yes. Actually, I wasn't. I did not make a decision that he's like Putin. I was questioning whether he will be like a Putin or like the Chinese premier or even an Angela Merkel. This has to be seen. I rule out the concept or the allegation. It is about power play because he already has the power. He doesn't. Prince Mut'ab wasn't a challenge to him. Wasn't a competition to him. He was so weak. He's already in the throne. Many people argue that he is doing that to get in the throne, while in reality he is on top of the throne right now. So I will go back again to my analogy as a Saudi citizen. I like what he's doing, and he should continue in his verge on corruption and the verge on royalties' influence in the kingdom.
But when you compare him to Vladimir Putin, what do you have in mind? The one-man rule, essentially, right?
Yes.
That's a problem for you.
That is what I'm fearful of. It is becoming a one-man rule. He has a control on everything. He is creating an environment of intimidation and fear. Saudis are being silenced. Things are not being transparent. And that is not a good recipe for reform in Saudi Arabia. And he needs to do something about that.
Right. You were an advisor to one of the most high-profile persons who was arrested, Prince Al-Walid bin Talal, who's well known for his holdings in many places in the West. He clearly did not expect to be arrested because he was always seen as someone who was more liberal, maybe, than the rest of the royal family. What do you make of this?
I don't know. It has to be seen. Corruption is so huge in Saudi Arabia, so spread, and everybody is reachable by the stick of corruption. There is also a need to define what is corruption. Exploitation of power is corruption, and royals do exploit their position as royal to grant more favor from the government. Land grab is corruption, and most royals have indulged in land grab. The allegation about Al-Walid, it is about money laundering. I don't know, I have no details of that, but it has. That's why I wished earlier for more transparency. In a situation like that, our Attorney General should at least come out once a week to speak to the Saudi media. And unfortunately, the Saudi media are not looking under every stone. They are still celebrating the war in corruption and honoring the leader and praising the leader who's doing that. They need to start to get serious and more journalist-like mind and start the investigation and look why Al-Walid is arrested and why Khalid bin Sultan is not. They need to start doing that.
Right.